So let's get back to the game. Okay, so you guys decided that you wanted to head to the blacksmith. Well, the ringing of steel as iron hits steel can be heard coming from the far side of the town. There's smoke billowing up from this kind of intricate-looking lean-to over here. So let me go back to this map. And as you can see, this area right here, that is where your blacksmith is.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're all gonna go together, guys.
Absolutely. I'm going to stay as close to any building or tree or hiding or behind Shagget. I mean Radovan, rather. Yes.
Well, I'm
Total paranoid.
I'm beelining it right there. I don't care about obstructions or shadows or anything like that, you know?
Alrighty. So
Right
y'all basically head
Just follow like a
straight
normal
over there.
elf.
Alright. As you kind of cross the street, you notice that they're actually carrying the girl's dead body out of the inn at this point.
Mm.
There you are.
Not jealous of them.
Okay. Yeah, they seem now to be preoccupied with actually cleaning the tavern. With the lack of any real magistrate here or anything like that, what are they going to do? I mean, you know, there's no one to punish for the crime. No one physically did anything. They're just trying to cope with the concept that a person just eviscerated right there inside their own tavern. It's like almost spontaneous human combustion, but with a big blue glow. Okay, so you make your way over to the lean-to that is the blacksmith. It's little more than 4 posts, like a beaten roof, a large wooden rack which has got various tools and pieces of iron. There's a couple of cart wheels and wagon wheels over to the side. There's some long iron kind of beams coming out of the wood which have got horseshoes hooked over them. And the guy that you saw earlier in the inn is standing over the forge, pumping with one hand on the bellows, and then after a few pumps, grabs hold of his tongs and is beating the crap out of what looks like a long piece of steel. Hard at work. He hasn't even paid any attention to the fact that you guys have walked up.
I noticed that neither of my newfound partners are the type to go up to the door and get the guy's attention. So
Nope.
that's what I do. I go up and I shout, you know, "Excuse me," as loud as I can without deafening you guys.
He kind of flips the steel and hits it a few more times and then thrusts it into the water next to him. A large bellow of steam kind of comes up and smoke. Then he sits it on the side, kind of wipes his hands off, and walks over and he says, "Oh, hello again."
I say,
He points at Shagget and says, "You've got red on you."
I say, you just saw a girl explode and you're working. You just went straight back to working. That's incredible.
I'm immediately conscious of the blood, the red on me. So I'm a little distracted by his remark. As casual and calm as he is, I'm like wiping myself down, even though it's to no real effect.
Yeah, the blood is dried on you by now.
Yeah. Okay.
So he says, "Well, I wasn't always a blacksmith. In fact, for several years, I did a little bit of traveling myself. Seen some pretty strange stuff. Nothing quite as odd as that, but, has to be a first time for everything. Didn't concern me, really."
Do you frequent the inn often, sir?
Every day. Look around, madam. Can you honestly tell me of anything else of interest to do around here?
True. What I mean is, I don't recall arriving here in this town. The barkeep said that 2 friends brought me, but I was traveling alone.
Let's see. From my recollection, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 friends, and they brought the 3 of you together.
Really?
8.
What did they look
friends.
Well, there was 2 kind of rough, burly-looking fellows were dragging each of you, so 2 men to each one of you, basically dragging you in. And then there were these 2 sultry-looking, I don't know, robed individuals. Didn't like the look of them much. Seemed to give Kathy the frights, that's for sure. She wasn't at all impressed by their presence.
And this happens frequently in a crap hole like this?
Oh, not at all. But again, none of my business.
It's a crap hole.
None of my business at all.
I'd say something worse if I had the opportunity.
They said something about you had recently been, which I did find this a bit strange, because if there had been any kind of shindigs going on here in this town, I'd have known about it. But they said that you were here at some kind of gathering, you'd had way too much to drink, and you were out of towners, and that they were going to put you up here for the night, and you were going to sleep it off and leave. And then they left.
I was at no shindig.
Well, just telling you what they said, that's all. He said, so, you ever seen anything like that before then? Women, blowing up, covered in blue?
No.
Can't say I have. It's very rare, if at all.
I hope it wasn't some kind of disease. I hope it wasn't contagious.
I lean in close to the blacksmith at this remark. And I make it a point to breathe on him as I say, is there anyone in this town worth talking to about us and our situation?
Kiss.
What is your situation? You're strangers from out of town that had too much to drink.
Well, if we have a disease or something, you'd want us to kind of move along, right?
At this point, it suddenly dawns on him that you're covered in this blood. And you're remarkably close to him.
Yep.
And almost as an afterthought, he very quickly takes 2 huge steps backwards and then moves to the side, so the forge is now between you and him. He says, actually, yeah, if you did have any kind of malady, the only person here in town that might be able to help you out would be Rudigan.
Rudigan.
And he kind of points across down the street back towards the center of town, and says, you see that building over there? And if you look at your map, you'll basically see what he's pointing at.
Yes.
He says, that's where old Rudigan lives. He said might know something about it, if anybody does. He's old as the hills, seen a lot. Mostly these days, though, he tends to sick animals and prepares tonics for people that have the gout and stuff like that. I think in his youth, he was supposed to be some kind of, I don't know, wanderer or whatever, but if anyone knows anything, he might. Oh, I will tell you, he is a little hard of hearing, though, so you'll have to speak up. And he's sometimes a little odd.
Odd how?
Well, his mind wanders. He's old. Old as the hills.
Mm-hmm.
But if anybody here knows anything about strange blue lines going up your face, whatever disease that might be, he would be the one.
Okay.
Well, if you don't mind, I've got steel to beat, and you've got other places to be than here.
Is that
Enjoy
so?
your steel beating.
No offense, but if you're going to talk to people and expect them to be cordial, you might want to clean yourself up. Because it's not a pretty sight, really, walking up to a stranger covered in blood. A little off-putting. Especially to some of these folk around here.
So where would you suggest I clean myself up?
He kind of glances around and then shrugs his shoulder and says, you can use the trough there, I suppose. And then he grabs a hand cloth and throws it to you.
The cloth hits the ground because I clearly was not expecting him to throw a cloth at me. And I, with some difficulty, bend over and pick it up because of all the armor I'm wearing.
You're all clunky.
Yeah, I'm very clunky, I'm also not at all happy with this guy, and I give him that withering kind of look, like, thank you for being unhelpful, even though he was kind of helpful, but...
Well, you
don't want to admit it, yeah.
I don't want to admit it, right. So
Yeah.
I look at Kia and then glance around and notice that our favorite friend, Rogue, is missing. Where's Reza? I say. I ask.
I look around and
She
glint
is
into the distance. I can see
gone.
way further than Radovan ever wishes.
Where were you going, incidentally, Racer?
I'm crouched in the shadows beside our new prospect's house.
Okay, so you've already made your way over there. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Right. The odds are then you guys are not going to see her. I mean, it is daylight, but
Oh,
with the
okay.
distance
Is
what
it
it
that
is,
far?
I mean, it's 60 or 70 feet, which if she was standing outside the door, you'd see her. But if she doesn't
Right.
want to be seen and you don't know that she's there, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Okay.
I'm
So I
definitely
motion,
hiding.
I motion Radovan over to that well so he can get the blood off of his armor and face and wherever it's at, so we can go meet this new person.
Alrighty.
Yeah, so I see the well and realize that's the most ideal place to go. So that's what I do. I go over there to clean myself up.
All right. So yeah, the water is extremely cold and brisk, but very refreshing, and does a good job of getting most of the bloodstains off.
Good enough.
Instead of it
say
looking
too.
like blood,
I shrug.
it just looks like you spilt your lunch, Instead of being a blood-soaked priest, you now look more like somebody that can't hit his mouth with his spoon.
We'll just say you're a clumsy human being. Let's just go.
Okay.
Typical human.
Racer, are you going to do anything, or are you just going to kind of stay there and observe?
I'm listening and waiting for my friends to arrive.
Okay.
Okay.
So-
I follow behind Kia, giving her
Okay.
the same look I gave the blacksmith, not happy with.
As you guys approach the house, you're not gonna really see me, and then all of a sudden I'm just gonna kind of be like, "Hey," and you're gonna see me. I'll just be like, "Hey." What's up?
She's going to pop out from behind, half underneath the cart.
Okay. I jump a little bit.
What a strange person.
Took you
Hello.
long enough.
Okay.
I had to
we
get
had
the
a
red
little-
off. Yeah.
A little mess to clean up.
Well, this building is in no better state than any of the others except for the inn that you've already seen. There is a cart, fairly old cart, sitting outside. There is a front porch, which is really not so much a porch, more a bunch of boards that are being held up by two posts, one of which is actually leaning over to the side, and the entire porch is kind of tilted and skewed slightly. It wouldn't take a whole lot to bring the front off of the building. It's pretty obvious.
Okay.
You can hear what sounds like coughing coming from inside, like a.
That's nasty.
Yeah. I was pretty ticked off by the comment that Radovan made earlier about how we never approach first, so I'm going to step up first this time and knock on the
Ooh.
door very
Okay.
loudly because I remember this guy doesn't hear too well.
Okay. You hear like footsteps, but more like step clunk, step clunk, step clunk.
Okay.
The door opens, and a guy wearing a very ill-fitting, long brown robe, it's very patchy, is standing there with one arm over a very rudimentary crutch, kind of looks at you, tilts his head to one side with a squint, and says, "What is it? Hey!"
Okay, sorry.
What do you want?
I am
I-
just smiling as Kia's the one who, walked into this trap. So I'm just
I
standing
immediately
behind.
He's got like
look back
long
at
gray
Radovan.
hair. He's got like long gray hair, like gray stubble all over his face. Like at some point, every great once in a while, it looks like he has an attempt at shaving. But he's not a very well kempt man at all. And by the look of one of his legs, it's kind of hanging semi-limp, so there's a reason he has the crutch.
Okay. Well, I immediately look back at Radovan, really hoping he takes this one over.
This is my reaction, gesture for gesture.
Off you go, deal with your person.
I glance over at Raisa.
I'm kind of hidden in the shadows, just looking at you like, what? Let's go.
So, So I take a breath. Hello!
He says,
What's his name again? I forgot his name.
he's that important to you. He says, hello! Now, what do you want?
Can we talk to you, sir?
We are talking!
Oh,
Are you
okay.
sick? Do you need a tonic?
Yes. And hoping he'll invite us inside.
Okay. He kind of grumbles something under his breath. Probably doesn't actually sound like any words, more just mumbles. And then kind of wanders in. Doesn't invite you when he just walks into his own house. After a few seconds, he turns, kind of looks back, he says, well, come in then!
I just walk in. This guy just makes me very awkward. Feel very awkward.
I'm going in, and I'm going to kind of hide in the corner right by the door, so he probably saw me, but if he wasn't paying attention,
It's
he
more
wouldn't
like-
really know.
It's more like your security blanket, you know, just to get in the corner sort of thing, right?
Right.
Close to the exit, nobody can come up behind me, kind of just in my little hood.
Alrighty.
I lean in the door frame, but don't actually enter the house. But I want to be close to. Well, I mean, I can definitely hear this man because he's like shouting because he's half deaf.
Right.
So I'm perfectly happy being in the back for once.
Okay. He says,
So I was the only one that walked all the way in.
he says, what's wrong with you then? Hey, girl! What's the matter?
A woman exploded in the tavern. I yell to him as loudly as I can.
He says, what? I thought you said somebody exploded.
Yes, somebody exploded. Her veins turned blue. Does that sound like something you've ever seen before, sir?
Okay, you see him kind of look up as if he's thinking for a second. He says, there are several maladies that could occur with blue veins, yes. None of which I
Yep.
seem to remember results with a fatality of exploding, though.
I look back at Radovan again, hoping he'll say anything.
Like, dig me out of this. He said, so you want a wig then?
No.
I shrug at a loss for words. I actually don't know what to say at this point in time.
Okay.
Sorry.
He says, this strange
So I'm gonna kind of.
disease, do you have it? Have you got it? Is that why you're here? You looking for a remedy?
I may or may not. I was just hoping to get your advice on what it could possibly be. I'm kind of thinking about showing him the tattoo, but he really freaks me out, so I'm not sure if I will.
All right, what was you going to say, Racer?
Oh, I was gonna kind of step out and say, we were told that you were the one in the village to talk to about maladies.
Yeah.
Is that the word? Okay. Maladies, and this woman appeared to have a strange marking, potentially magic-based. Have you ever dealt with anything of the magic sort?
Cursed, I add.
Oh, curses. Ah, he says, and suddenly starts getting all knowing as he crouches over and looks at you. His eyes flip from each one to the other, and then he sits down at the table, and he says, curses, now that's a different story. That's something that I can do absolutely nothing about.
Do you know
But-
anybody who has knowledge?
As a matter of fact, I do. See, I'm more of a herb specialist. He said, I don't know any herbal remedies that can cure what ails you, but I know of someone who can direct you to a man who might be able to help. Yes. Now, with my gammy leg and all, I'm not really fit to go a-travelling. And a few weeks ago, I took advance payment to work up some herbal remedies for the mayor of Sorrowmorn. Ain't but 3 days north of here, by car. If you would be willing to take my shipment to him for me, not only will I give you 25% of the advance payment that I've already received, but when you meet the mayor of Sorrowmorn, ask him where you can find a man by the name of Ashlyn Main. He's a practitioner of the magical arts, and a man who I feel sure can assist in removing your curse. In fact, I know he can, because I've seen him do it.
Wonderful.
Ashlyn, what was his name?
Ashley Main.
Ashlyn Main! Are you deaf?
I guess so, sir. Speak up.
Ashlyn Main!
Ashlyn Main.
Yes, you take my herbs to Sorrowmorn, deliver them to the mayor, ask him where Ashlyn Main is, and he'll help you out.
I would like to converse with him a little bit about some herbs, and possibly purchase some stuff for my personal stash from him.
Okay.
Just on a side conversation.
Alrighty. What do you guys think? You interested? As I said, I'm willing to pay you a little bit.
To deliver herbs and to meet
Yes.
the guy who might know about our curse, absolutely.
You can use my
100%
cart,
Yes.
and I'll procure a horse from the stable across the street. All you have to do is when you get there, leave the horse and cart with the mayor. He'll see it gets back to me.
It looks like we don't have a choice. I mean,
That's the sort of business I like doing with people. When they don't have choices. means the price is less.
I don't care about the cost.
Fine,
I just
fine.
care about not dying, basically. That's my
Me too.
only priority right now, so be damned with the cost.
He says, well then, if you're not interested in the cost, I'll keep the money myself, and you can just take the horse and cart and deliver the herbs. Sounds fair to me.
I'm gonna glare at Radovan.
I look at Reza seeing the glare, and I state matter of factly, you can't spend your riches if you're dead. So.
Oh.
So
Burn.
you don't want your share of the money then? Fair enough.
Give it to Reza. Give it to Reza. That's what I say.
Hey.
This is well.
I'm here as
I'm
well.
talking for Kia as well. That's true.
He
Yeah,
said,
you're an
so-
elf. You don't need the gold. You're good.
You just want me to split it between these two then?
Sure. Whatever.
Fair enough.
And then that's how I'll arrange my little herb package. I'll tell him I'll ask him if he would just give me a nice little stash of herbs instead of the money.
Okay.
Poor Kia.
Well, he agrees to your request, and he hands Kia 10 gold, which is
take it.
her share.
Ooh, that's a lot of herbs.
And then, well, it was actually, he's like selling pre-made tonics to take care of an issue with a town. So, it's not just the herbs he's selling, it's actually stuff that's already been worked up into medicines and tonics and
Wonderful.
ointments and stuff.
Wonderful.
That's what you guys are transporting. Okay,
Nice
he
little
says,
kit.
kind of looks at you and he says, so what sort of thing are you interested in then? Stuff to cure gout? Sore limbs? Aches and
Poisons.
pains? Poisons? What sort of herbalist do you think I am? Why would I want to give you anything to poison anybody? Very shady, very shifty. Don't know about that.
I'm sure you do, sir, and it's for my own personal safety.
Okay, you're going to have to convince this guy somehow.
Okay.
He's just not going to hand over his knowledge of dangerous plants and stuff. So,
And
what do you want to do?
I'm glancing over at her. Wow, I definitely don't trust this half elf right now. She is very, very sketchy.
I immediately know what spell I'm going to pray to St. Cuthbert for the following day.
Okay.
And that is to purify all my food and water and drink. That's what I'm internalizing right now. Is like with this out in the open.
Right.
That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Okay, so
what do you want to
can
do to try to convince this guy?
I would like to have a private conversation with him.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to take him aside. Well, I don't know how private it's going to be because I got to yell at him. but I'm going to explain to him.
Can you guys go to the other end of town, please?
Yes. I'm going to tell him a little bit about how being a normally lone female traveler, I've experienced a lot of hardships, and a lot of the time it comes down to life or death situations, and having something where I can defend myself at close proximity has saved my life more than once, and that is the only reason that I dabble in poisons.
Alrighty. Sounds like you're being diplomatic, so I think you should make a diplomacy check, please.
Sure.
Which you're not the worst person at.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Oh.
He kind of looks at you and he says, "Look, miss. No offense," he said. "Seeing as you're willing to help me out," he said, "I've got a couple of herbs that I can give you that if you slip them in someone's tea or..." Fifth Barrow, thanks for the follow. If you slip them in someone's tea, or if you go ahead and put them in some food or something like that, it'll put them to sleep. But I certainly don't have anything lethal or that'll do any real harm to anybody, but I'm willing to part with some of that. In fact, if you're willing, seeing as you've helped me out, I've actually got 2 or 3 doses of the stuff already made up, which I'm willing to give you.
It's not particularly what I would usually use it for, but you never know what could come in handy.
It goes,
I don't-
Rudigan's sleep tonic, I call it.
Okay.
He said, but it's good stuff. It'll drop a rhino.
Okay.
Having overheard this, because there's no having a conversation in private, I enter the establishment finally, and with my shield close to my chest, kind of not defensive, but in a upright manner, I, with every intention, say, "Just give her the damn stuff, please."
Okay, so you're going to intimidate the guy.
I'm going to intimidate
Go
the
ahead.
guy.
He was going to give it to me anyways.
I mean the other stuff, the stuff that he's,
Mm.
he's being
The poisons.
the poisons. All right.
Alrighty. Right. So you grab the guy kind of by the, grab the guy by the scruff of the neck. Considering that he weighs no more than about 80 pounds in his waif-like state, you can pick him off the ground. The first thing, he pees himself, which is rather embarrassing for him. And once again, you have liquid on you that you probably wish wasn't on you. But as he quakes in his boots, he kind of looks at you and he says, I don't have anything exactly what she's looking for, but, well, I do have some stuff that, well, could make you rather violently ill. I suppose I can give her that. But
Thank you, I say, and
I
put him
don't
gently
really
down.
hold with giving that sort of thing to strangers, to be honest. Don't know what you might do with it.
Well, we're doing you a favor. I already took a pay cut. This is what I've decided. This is what I'm expecting now. And then I turn to Race and I say, "If you ever poison me again, I will kill you."
Again?
If you ever poison me, I will kill you. Again.
Wow.
If you ever poison me again, just again all the time. No, if you ever poison me, I will kill you.
Right, okay.
And then I just walk right out.
And then I'm going to just kind of say to you as you're going, I never had intentions to.
Right. So basically, you come out of this, Racer, you've got 3 doses of what he calls his sleep tonic, which according to him will drop a rhino. And he reluctantly gives you what looks like some thick, gooey paste in a little box. And he hands it to you, kind of, "Here."
And what's this one?
He said, "Let's just say that if you got it in your bloodstream, you wouldn't feel too good. And we'll leave it at that. You figure out what you want to do with it. I don't want anything to do with whatever mischief you're planning."
No mischief, sir. Just survival.
Now then, about my herbs. And he kind of comes wandering outside and points at the cart. He says, in the back there's about half a dozen big crates, all with straw in them. If you'll load them on the back of that cart, he said, then we'll pop across the street, get us a horse, and you can be on your way. Northwards, and he points up the road.
All right.
Are you deaf?
Load up the court.
Sorry. Sorry.
We'll be on our way. You'll never hear from us again. That's what I say to him. And then I load up the cart.
Okay. Well, the crates are
Yes.
big, and they're obviously containing, like, they clink a lot, like there's a lot of vials of liquid and stuff. They're fairly heavy. And there is 6 of them, so it's pretty obvious there's no way you're taking them anywhere without this cart. He kind of goes across the street, which he is seriously having problems walking. I mean, he's limping, and that crutch is barely holding him up. It takes him about 4 times to cross the street, or, you know, that it would have you guys. He goes into the little building right next to that, wanders inside, shortly afterwards comes out. The guy goes around the side with him, and they come out leading a horse. It's like a fairly large draft-looking horse. Obviously, it's not really designed for riding, but it is designed for pulling. The guy comes over, hands Radovan the reins of the horse, and says, I take it you know how to shackle this thing to the cart.
Yes.
And he kind of does so with a smirk on his face, almost like he doesn't think you do.
I very, very plainly say, yes, I do. Though I'm not entirely sure I actually do, because I walk usually using my feet most of the time.
I should, as an elf, we ride horses, don't we?
I mean, if any of you have got any riding skill at all,
yeah,
then you probably do. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, so I'll know, and I can just kind of grab the reins and take care of them.
I let them
separately.
go. Yep, I give them away happily.
Alrighty.
Swiftly and agilely, I get the horses ready.
All right. Well, you shackle the horse to the cart. By now, it's probably about midday. And he kind of points. It's that way! And very clearly is indicating to you to head in that direction. He said, don't forget the mare. Deliver it to the mare of Sorrowmorn. Do you know where Sorrowmorn is?
North.
Pretty much
Is that
north.
it? Do we just head north and we'll hit it, or
So
do
you
we
don't
need to
know
do
the way
anything
to
else?
Sorrowmorn then? At all. Right. Go north. He said, keep going through go through the forest, follow the forest road, through the hills. He said, and eventually you'll come to what appears to be much more of a substantial main road in about probably 2.5 to 3 days. When you interject with it, you'll be kind of up on the bluff of a cliff. Follow the road to your right, and it'll take you straight into Sorrowmorn. In fact, you'll probably see Sorrowmorn towards the end of probably towards the middle to the end of the second day, but you won't be able to get to it because it's kind of up on top of a cliff. You're going to have to go all the way around and come back on the backside.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
He said, just remember now, the mayor knows where to find Ashlyn Main. And you need to talk to Ashlyn Main, don't you? You need him. So, any strange ideas about making off with my cart and my herbs, I'd put them out of your head, if I were you. Or I'll call the
Smile
watch
and
on
say,
you.
Don't worry,
Call the
we got this. We will deliver your herbs to the mayor.
Alrighty. So, you're going to go ahead and head out of town?
We're-
Yes. Do we have rations? As long as we have rations.
If you have them on your sheet, you have them. If not, you may want to make a trip to the inn.
I have rations.
I do not.
No, y'all have been living hand to mouth mostly, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to pop by the inn and get some supplies?
Probably.
Sure,
yeah.
and it'll be nice to see if it's all cleaned up in there or not.
I grudgingly follow.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna mumble under my breath about don't have your shit ready and fucking wasting time.
Alrighty.
Yes.
So
we head to the
Go
end.
back to the inn.
right. Well, you head back to the inn itself. Once you get back there, the girl is in fact gone.
Okay.
They have cleaned that mess up. The bar wench is scrubbing the floor where the blood was. Several other people are now back in the inn. And mostly out of morbid curiosity than anything else. Oh, you're back then.
Yes, I was hoping to purchase some rations, actually. We're going to be leaving.
Oh, wonderful,
Sure.
wonderful news.
Glad. Wonderful news.
He said,
I thought
well,
you'd say that.
he said, how many days worth of food do you want me to pack up for you guys?
I'd say 3 days.
Fair enough. Each of you? Or just
Just-
you?
All right.
Okay,
Just 2 of us.
right.
2 of us.
Well, he basically bundles some bread and some cheese, grabs a few bits of fruit, stuff like that. A wine skin, which is full of water, not wine, and bundles it all up into kind of like one of those makeshift, gets a cloth, wraps it around, ties some string around the top of it, and hands it to you. He says, that will cost, let's see, 5 silver pieces each, please.
Sure, I take out 5 of the 10 that I was handed just a moment ago. Give it up to him.
All right. So, deduct 5 silver pieces from your sheet. And it's
Okay.
10 to 1 is the ratio from silver to gold.
Okay.
So 1 gold is 10 silver, just so you know. Alrighty.
So it was only 5 silver, not 5 gold.
Correct, yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Hell, that would, 10 gold is a lot of money.
Expensive meal.
Fancy.
Okay. And after you've got your food, are you heading off?
Are you
I
ready?
think we should
Alrighty, tighty.
hit him
So,
up. Come on,
this-
rawhide.
This is your overland map. Crow Bluff is where you guys are right now. And you're heading towards Saramorn. We're going to take a quick break while we are there.